Good day, Jill. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Going good, good. So we're doing this.
What's
This is a video episode, right?
It is. We're trying this new video thing out that we have the capability, but I've never actually tried the video
Well, it's probably a good thing I'm disguised. I'm beardless today. It's really weird to look at myself.
without the beard.
Yeah, kind of. So one wonders why I shave my beard off every once in a while. It's easier than trimming it. Trimming it's kind of a chore,
Pain.
and it gets to a
Yeah,
point
I
where it
can
gets
see that.
annoying. So I gotta
Yeah.
whack it off
You
every
know,
once in a while and look like a weirdo for a week or two.
my husband, Curtis, he has a beard now, and he had never really had one up until last year. But I have to say, he looks better with a beard. Now I just need to work on getting his hair trimmed because that's something I don't love is his hair
Mm.
because he's going a little bald
He does look.
in places, and I think he would look better if he just kind of cut it closer.
Yeah, I think the beard is a good look. I'm glad that that's a good thing. I'm glad that that's a
Yeah,
style.
it
My
it
life
is
easier.
good,
Yep.
but you missed the perfect segue
Oh, because we're talking. What's the segue?
for beards. Things we don't like for bald heads, like
Yeah.
I don't like his head.
Oh,
Wait, that came out wrong. That came out wrong. I don't like his hair because he's losing it on top and in the front, and I just think he should cut it closer. So I don't like his hairstyle right now. And that's a good segue for what we're talking about
things
today.
we don't like.
In Utah.
So we've done a favorite thing about Utah episode. So we thought it'd be fun to do things that we hate about Utah or things that we don't like as much. But really,
Right.
I'm going to say it's things we hate. And it's
Yeah.
okay because we're Utahns. So we can talk about
So we
things
can
we hate.
say that.
When other people talk about things they hate about Utah, it makes me mad.
Yeah, it's like having siblings. Like you can talk shit about your own siblings, but when it's somebody else, it's infuriating.
It is. Same thing here. So, but we're going to do it because we can. So normally we plan our episodes and we collaborate and we have outlines and things like that. But for this one, I thought it'd be fun for us to not do that. So actually, we have no idea what each other is going to say. This
Right.
will be this will be interesting, and I'm pretty sure our topics are going to be way different from each other. Mine are going to be things that probably no one has thought about, no one cares, no one's thought about, and
Maybe.
no one will continue to care even after I bring them up. Well, with one exception. Well,
Hmm.
I'll get this. This is one of the weird ones that I hate about Utah that no one, people are gonna be like, what? Who cares? Who cares? But I care. And it's street names. There's something about street names in Utah that are very uninspiring. And so we do
Okay.
have the grid system, which I think's fine. Um, we have the numbered streets, which is fine, but maybe not every street. Like maybe every once in a while, we have a thoroughfare that kind of has a name that reflects something from the area.
Yes.
And we also have streets that change names all the time. And don't tell me why that happens. I know why it happens because one street was built at one time and then another street was built at another time and then they connect and became the same street. But when that happens, the street name should reflect and they should be changed. I hate driving on a street and then just suddenly changes names. Like in St. George, in Washington, you have Telegraph Road, which is the main road through town. And
Right.
as soon as you get into St. George, the name just changes to Red Cliffs Drive, I think.
Yeah, it's Red Cliffs Drive.
Well, I mean, that's confusing because on the other side of the freeway, going perpendicular to that street is Red Hills Parkway. So you have
Yeah.
Red Hills Parkway and Red Hills Drive or something, whatever that's called.
Red
Red Cliffs
Cliffs or
Drive and Red Hills
something.
Parkway that run parallel to each other. And then the name that goes around the hill and then goes south and then it turns into River Road. It's the same street, but it has three different names. It's stupid. It
Yeah,
bugs me.
but I think on that one. One does start in Washington, and then the other one ends in St. George. So it's different cities. So I kind of see that one.
Yeah, I could see it changing names when it changes direction, but the street name doesn't need to change names just because it crosses into a different municipality. And
It is
I'll give you
confusing.
another thing that could be helpful, like our canyons. People get Big Cottonwood Canyon and Little Cottonwood Canyon mixed up, which
I do.
I can go on another tangent. In fact, maybe I will. We should change the name of those canyons too. We should call one of them Brighton Canyon and the other one should be called Alta Canyon to reflect the
Okay.
two towns that were inside, and that would make them unique from each other, give them unique names. There'd be nothing else in Utah with that name. Do you know how many place names have the word Cottonwood in them in Utah? And there's multiple canyons, so there's multiple Cottonwood canyons in Utah. So the name's uninspiring. It's like they just thought, well, let's just, I can't think of any more names. I think the pioneers got sick of naming stuff, so they just ran out of ideas. And so here we are 150 years later. We don't need to keep going, well, but we have to keep the name. We don't want to erase history. Yeah, we do. Let's make it better. There's better names. But what I was going to say is, so the streets that go up them, you could name the street after the canyon. So if it's Brighton Canyon, that street that comes out of it, instead of being called, I think it's Fort Union. Actually, that's a cool name for a street, but the Little Cottonwood Canyon's a better example. I even know what street number goes up. It's like
Oh,
100
Jake.
something million south. Like, change that name, change it to Alta Canyon, and then change the street to Alta Canyon Drive. And when you're on the freeway and you want to figure out what street do I take to go to Alta, and then you see a street sign that says Alta Canyon Drive, you're like, that's it. Good one. And then I told you I've thought way too much about this. Like,
You have.
the temple streets in Salt Lake are stupid. So if you have a grid system, if you have a directional grid system, you can't have street names that have directions in them. You can't have a street that's called North Temple when you have a grid
Oh, no.
system, because then you have weird addresses like 110 West North Temple. That's a weird address.
But I get why it's the Temple
I
Streets.
get the history, so make one of them Temple Street. Just pick one, like North Temple, because that's the longest one. Actually, South Temple.
Okay.
South Temple, just call it Temple Street. And then the other three, or
Okay.
the other two get a new name.
You have thought about this. This what keeps you up at night?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see
You know
that.
what else is weird is we have very few boulevards or avenues. Think about it. What street
Well,
names can you think of that
I
are
mean, there's
boulevard
a
or avenue?
whole section in Salt Lake called the Avenues, but yes, I see your
Yeah,
point.
outside of that, there's like none. It's all
Not very many.
drive
You're
or street.
right.
Boulevards are
Well,
cool.
on that same topic, though, things I hate, Salt Lake County. And it's no matter the time of day, there's traffic everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere in Salt Lake County. Like, just think about it. Like, Harriman, Sandy, just anywhere in Salt Lake County, doesn't matter the time of day, side streets, freeway, everywhere. It's crowded and it's on this, it's just, oh, no.
Yeah. The traffic does suck, and it's frustrating that there's really no creative solutions to that I ever see.
No, it's not. But like, yeah. I mean, it's not exactly, that wasn't, it's not the same what you're saying, but it's kind of like just the streets, they're just not. And maybe it's just because the people are shitty drivers. I don't know. I mean, Utah County's just crowded, but Salt Lake County, there's just always traffic. Doesn't matter where you are in Salt Lake County, what time of day, the side streets, the surface streets are just always jam packed with people.
Do you think the traffic lights in Utah are timed to make you hit them all red to slow you down? That's a
No,
theory I've heard. And I don't know if it's
No.
confirmation bias when it happens. I will say, like, if you're driving on 5th or 6th South in Salt Lake, like, if you're getting a yellow light, you need to run it. If you run the yellow light and then speed up a little bit, you'll just keep hitting them green. And if you hit any of
Yeah.
them yellow or red, then sorry.
Well, I can tell you from some insider knowledge from a previous job. I used to work and represent, as a consultant, and we used to represent certain construction companies or the Department of Transportation, and when these lights would have issues, they are not timed that way. I mean, they have to keep the flow of traffic, but it's just weird how it works. And I understand I know you were kidding, but I still just, ugh.
Actually, that reminds me of another thing I hate is who designed the tracks line in Salt Lake.
I don't
It's
know.
fine. It's perfectly fine until you get to like downtown, and then that main line. I forgot what color it is, but the main line goes up to the temple, and then it goes west to the gateway, and then it goes south, and then it goes west again, and then does it go north? It like snakes around all these different things. It's kind of in like they piecemealed it together. That's why it is the way it is. But like, why don't you just have it go down 4th South and just turn up at the transit center? That would be one turn.
I'm sure I wish Curtis was here still, but he I'm sure could tell you more about it because he loves tracks. I know
I
it's a
love
weird thing.
tracks. I love tracks. It's that
Well,
one
but
little thing that
like
bugs me.
he utilizes it a lot when he's in Salt Lake. Like we used to live downtown, and I mean, there I actually get why it works the way it works, and he could explain it better than I could. I just don't. Yeah.
Well, if someone knows if there's a reason, there's a logical reason behind that, I would be curious to know what that is. And like, so when they were doing the streetcar in Sugar House, they couldn't decide where it would
Oh, that
go.
thing is so stupid.
Well, like the part that they have that goes along whatever, like Simpson Avenue, I don't know what street it is, one of those
Mm-hmm.
streets, it just parallels out. That's fine. That makes sense. But then they're like, we want it to go to Sugar House Park, and then it's going to go north, and it's going to go up 13th East, or was it Highland Drive, one of those streets. They wanted it to go up, and then like, oh, well, then let's have it connect to this little thing, and let's have it was going to do the same thing. It was going to snake around, and I'm thinking, if you're
Why?
if you're there at the end of the line of the streetcar line and you want to take tracks, do you really want to get on a streetcar that takes you like 10 blocks the opposite direction before it actually turns and then starts heading towards the tracks line?
Eh,
Yeah, things that
you know,
bug me that don't bug anyone else.
I know that is something that bugs you. I did ask. So moving on, I did ask Curtis something that bothered him before he went to the gym. I was like, "Hey, what's something you don't like about Utah?" And being the political dork that he is, this is something that he told me, and I actually can understand this, and I agree with it. The disproportionate influence of the church in politics, the LDS church in politics. The state is 62% Mormon, but the legislature fluctuate between 80 and 90% LDS/Mormon.
Well,
That is something he dislikes.
I have a theory. I think I think the church's influence on Utah politics is going to drop and drop and drop, but not for the reason that other people think. It's because I think people's political parties are going to become their new religion. I think
I
people
think you're
I think
absolutely
people
right
get
in that regard.
more of their identity comes from their political views than their religion now. And I think that's going to get
It's
worse and worse.
interesting.
That's not a good thing.
I've been noticing that as well. Like with the whole Trump thing, that's become kind of more cult like, and it's interesting to see how that has happened.
Well, and and I say the same thing about Trump. He's got cult things himself, but I think on the other side, they're going to do the same thing. I think
Oh,
they're just
yeah.
going to entrench themselves just as much into their own cult-like things, and it's going to get worse and worse, and then maybe someday we'll
Well,
have a war against another country, and that will
I
finally break it. I don't know.
noticed I noticed this in the last, not this most recent one, but the one before. The Bernie supporters were similar. I mean, it's interesting to watch the whole thing. I I don't know.
Here's a
Anyway,
good here's a good rule of thumb. If you can't identify anything that you disagree with or that someone you support politically does wrong, that's a
mhm,
very simple, basic test. Like you should have one thing that you can say,
that you
well, they're
disagree
not
with.
good at this, or I disagree with them on this, because it's illogical. It makes no sense that any two people would agree politically on every single issue.
Yeah,
It's
I
virtually
agree.
impossible you're unless you're brainwashed.
100%.
Well,
All right.
speaking of brainwashed, I have a good segue.
Okay.
This one's gonna sting a future guest. I think I don't know if I want to say the name. I won't say the name. There's a
Say the
particular
name.
no. People will know what I'm talking about. There's a particular news site in Utah that their comment section is especially toxic. Now, don't come at
Um,
me with they're all like that. All comments are toxic. Yes, I actually do think all comments, online comments, are pretty much toxic. There's a few exceptions, but one in particular, a Utah-based news website, is especially toxic. And I don't go on there. I boycott that site. I don't like it at all. But from what I've heard,
okay.
is they're very weird and selective in how they monitor it. So they seem to allow hateful, hurtful, mean comments as long as it supports one side. And then if another person
Hmm.
comes in and says like, "Hey, maybe we should be nice. Maybe we should be empathetic towards this person," and like comments like that are totally benign will get rejected, and other ones like you're an
I
idiot
know
get
which site
accepted.
you're talking about, and you're right.
Yeah, everyone knows who I'm talking about. Comes up all the
Yeah.
time. Just my advice is don't go to that site until they fix it. Like that's the only
So
way you're
you want
gonna
to know
get
some?
change.
You want to know something I don't like?
I would. Please tell me.
I Any soft drink cocktail bar, those kind of things. They bug me. There are always lines at those places, and they wrap out onto the street, and it's just annoying AF, and they're overpriced, and they're going to be the largest contributor to diabetes in Utah County and Bountiful, let's be honest.
Yep.
Because, oh my gosh, though, I drove by the
Swizz.
swig here in Bountiful, and holy crap, they had on 500 West. There was a line. That's a busy street here, and it's Highway 89, and it was like it was backed up all the way to 500 South, and that's a good maybe half mile. And I'm like, why?
It's
It was so stupid, and it made me irrationally angry.
it's not that good, people.
I'm like, why do you want to pay like $8 for an 44-ounce drink that has some vanilla flavoring and like some peach, I don't know, bullshit in it? It just is stupid. Like, I get once in a while they're tasty. I craved some after my most recent surgery, but what it was that I like is something I can make at my own house. I
Another
had never had one before until my dad brought one over to me because I thought it sounded tasty.
so
But they bother
what
me.
other future show sponsors could we alienate? Actually, agree. They're not
Shut
going to
up,
sponsor
Jake.
our show because I don't want to. I don't really. It doesn't bug me that much, but I'm with you. Like that's kind of a dumb. business. It's a fine business, but there should be like
I
one.
wouldn't have an
It should be like one business, not every street corner with all these weird soda things.
Here's the thing though. I would be fine with it if it didn't affect traffic and if it didn't like stop it creates a danger and it makes me angry. I'm like, you know, maybe do something like call ahead. They do have a call ahead feature, I've learned. And like it just is stupid though. And they don't have enough employees for what they're doing because they don't pay their employees. They have high school kids, and that's fine. They're paying, these kids are out working, which is great, but they're not paying enough. And so no kid stays there. They don't want to come home all sticky and work for like $8 an hour. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah,
just the.
it's overdone.
I'm sorry, I'm being
It's
whiny about
overdone.
it.
I will say
It
there's
is.
probably other things like this, but in St. George they have a soda store, but it's an old general store. It's like a soda fountain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same type of drink, but it's actually fun to go
Ooh,
there. I don't really like soda.
like you could go in and get
Yeah,
a
it's like
chocolate soda, like
yes,
old
like I
timey.
like that part of it. That makes me
I
want to get a
like
soda.
those.
But these drive-through on that are on every block, those drive-through soda things where they just put sugar flavoring in soda, which you can
Diabetes
do
in a cup.
yourself. Yeah, that's
It's diabetes in a cup. That's, you
just drink
know,
coffee like the rest of us.
I don't drink coffee because I think it's
Ooh.
bitter and gross, but I do drink tea and I find that yummy. But right now, you're gonna make fun of me. I'm drinking a caffeine free Diet Coke, and here's why. I drank a whole bunch of caffeine this morning, and now I'm shaky and jittery.
Ooh, that's a good feeling.
I don't like it at
If you're
all.
like me, make sure
Blech.
nothing bad happens or you'll have a panic attack.
And while I'm talking about things I don't like, as far as like Utah, Utah County type things that were born there, which I think Swig was, how
Oh
about
Lord.
MLMs, multi level marketing? I I don't like them. I get approached all the time. And I'm like, listen, it's a pyramid scheme and you can't tell me different, McKindy. It's like, it's like, listen, Skyly, I don't want to buy your doTERRA. Sure, it smells good. It's great. But you know what? It's not going to cure that goiter,
So listen,
Skyla. And it's not going to. Guess what, McKinsey? That's spelled with a Y somewhere arbitrarily in there. It's not going to cure that goiter. Go to a doctor,
listen, McSkyley.
dumbass. It just makes me
McSkyley spelled
angry.
McZkyleigh. Listen, McSkyley, if your product is so good, you
But
should just
like,
be able to sell it directly to the person. You don't need this complicated selling scheme.
okay, so confession time though. I did buy some doTERRA because I think the lavender smells really good, but I did not sign up for an MLM. I just, I'm like, hey, who does doTERRA? And they wanted to give me this big old spiel. And I'm like, no, no, I just want to sign up so I can buy lavender and peppermint oil because it helps with nausea. And this is when I was going through all my fertility stuff. And it was like, I need something that's not like Phenergan, that's not going to knock me out for 10 days. And it does help. They use it in hospital. They use peppermint oil a lot in hospitals, like, and it's great for nausea. It does help. But I I hate like LuLaRoe. And granted, they're not around, but like ugliest leggings ever. And ew, I mean, they are soft, but ugly.
doTERRA's good stuff, though. Can they just sell the stuff in stores?
I wish they would. I mean, my first experience was this pharmacy, Jolly's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jolly's pharmacies. They're around, but they sell some DoTerra products in their store, and that's how I found it. I didn't know it was an MLM when I first found out about DoTerra. I was like, oh, this stuff smells good, and I'm like, the funny thing is I was like, ooh, what's an essential oil? Is it essential to your well being? No, it's not. And like, I know what they mean by essential oil, but it's not essential to your well being. It just smells good. Like, put it in a diffuser so your house smells yummy, but don't like use it to cure a yeast infection. Oh, here's another craze that's going on right now. And this isn't just Utah, but like aged urine. If you don't know what that is, look it up because it's so disturbing. People age their pee. And it like they drink it, they bathe in it, they do all this weird shit, and they're like, oh, this cures everything. And it's like, no, it does not cure anything. It's just gross and you smell bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
moving on. I have too many questions about that. I'm not even going to ask them. Okay, I got another weird one.
Yeah.
Another one that no one cares about but me. But why does the Wasatch Front have so many different municipalities? So it's weird. The population of Salt Lake City is actually less than places like Boise or Tucson
Mm-hmm.
or like lots of suburbs or places like that. But really, Salt Lake's much bigger than those places because it's the metro area that really counts. But the city has such a small
Right.
area, and every little neighborhood has to be its own city. And it's kind of weird.
Right. Like Cottonwood Heights, for
Yeah, it gets really
example.
weird when you're up in Weber County because they have some really tiny ones, like Washington Terrace. I think that was literally a
Right.
subdivision, and they made themselves their own city. Do people realize that when you have your own city, you have to pay for your own mayor and city manager and city
For
employees?
everything.
And a lot of them like to have their own police force, but you have to pay for that. So you're kind
Right.
of duplicating things. Whereas if you combine with a bunch of other cities, you could have one mayor, and it's going to be more cost effective ultimately.
Right.
One mayor, one city manager.
Well, I mean, that's kind of why Salt Lake has the Salt Lake County mayor and a Salt Lake City mayor. But it's really weird to like figure out how it all works together. And I have a tiny bit of experience with that and kind of sitting in meetings where everybody's like, well, so which mayor do we talk to about this and this? Like, is this going to be under Salt Lake County or do we talk to Cottonwood Heights? Or do we talk to, who do we talk to about this? Is this Taylorsville or is this unincorporated? Like, who do we talk to? Do we talk to Unified Police about this or do we talk to who? I mean, it's hella confusing. I just said
I'm going to
hella and
bleep it
I'm
out.
embarrassed. Yeah, I get it. That one, actually, I understand, and I think a lot of people wonder that too. So you're not
You and
alone,
I.
even though right now you're
You know, I
on
taught
your
when I taught
own.
English in Korea. That was one of the songs I taught the kids. "You Are Not Alone" by Michael Jackson.
Oh, that wasn't what I was singing. I was
Oh,
singing
well, I
a
was singing
church
Michael
song.
Jackson. Did Michael Jackson steal it from the church? Was he converted?
No,
Let's start that rumor. Let's start a rumor that Michael
no.
Jackson was baptized before he died.
Oh, I'm sure that
Well, it's been
rumor's
started
already
about
been
every other
started, kind of
celebrity that's
like
ever lived. So let's do it about Michael Jackson. Did you know?
Steve Martin and Elvis.
It actually was Elvis that baptized Michael Jackson. Did you know that? Right before he died. Yes. It was really cool.
What? The F. Okay. So one last thing that I think is odd. Shane Company sold out. They are now open on
The Shane
Sundays.
Company is now open on Sundays.
What? I'm going to have to learn that commercial now because I had that damn thing memorized for years. And did you also know
Yeah, I
they're
was
a
going to say,
chain?
everyone, I've heard this in other communities too, as they talk about, you're from Portland when you can memorize the Shane Company. Like, all these different cities think that Shane Company is their own thing. It's not.
That's deceptive as
We
those
like to make
bastards.
everyone
Jake,
think
you're going to
that
need
we're
to bleep me.
dedicated solely to them.
Oh, man. But I think it's important to note that in the grand scheme of things, this is just little things that we don't like. I don't think there's really all that many big things that we
Well,
we
and
dislike.
you and I are both open minded, so we are open to changing our opinions if someone
That's
can
true.
give us a good reason why.
Yeah, and we would love your feedback. You can comment on our Twitter thread when we post this. Please comment on our Facebook, um, on our Twitter, or our Instagram. Just please shoot us a comment. We love it. We love the feedback. We love the conversations. And please go on wherever you listen to our podcasts and leave us a
Yes,
review.
please.
We love those reviews, but only leave it if you're giving us 5 stars.
We don't really care. You give us an honest opinion, but 5 stars is
Yeah,
better.
we need it. We love the feedback.
We love the reviews that are 5 star and then are like, your show sucks. 5 stars.
Yeah,
Hey, can
those are
I
great.
do one more thing I hate about Utah before we go?
Yeah.
So, Utah architecture sucks. It just sucks. The old architecture is cool. I like the pioneer era architecture. But somewhere around the 50s, Utah was screw it. We don't care anymore. It's like a very utilitarian Soviet
I think
style now, where it's just like, let's build things for as cheap and boring as possible. And all these skyscrapers are going up in Salt Lake, and
I
people are getting excited.
think
Oh, a new skyscraper! And let me guess, it's going to be 25 stories, and it's going to be all glass. It's going to be a glass square box. It's 25 stories. Am I right? I'm right. Every damn building looks the same, and the houses in Utah are the worst. Oh my lord, people! There has not been an attractive house built in Utah since 1982. All those the
I
mansion,
disagree. I don't think our
the
architecture
housing
is that
architecture
bad.
is
I think some of it
atrocious.
is
The
bad.
houses, here's, you gotta look up, there's a blog or something about McMansions. I forgot what it's called. I'll try and find it and link it up. But it's so funny how she breaks down McMansions, and it's just hilarious because, like, architecturally they're so stupid. And I'm sure pretty much everyone that listens has a house like this, but there should be some sort of uniformity or theme to the front of your house. So you don't need 8 different windows. If you have 8 windows on the front of your house, they don't need to be 8 different sizes. And at 8, they're like not even level with each other. You have one window
I'll
here,
give
then
you
let's put
that.
one up here, and let's put one down here, and let's stick this one out. Let's put a little bay, and let's put a dormer. And then let's have like all these, I forgot what they're called, those little fake roofs, those triangles above the windows. There's a name for that. And they like to put unnecessary things of those on every house, and they just look.
I see now I don't know. I don't think the architecture is all that bad. I think the ugly architecture has come in from out of state.
Californians.
Damn it. But yeah. So on that note, if you have anything you want to add to our list, seriously, drop us a note. We love to interact with our listeners and our viewers. Tell us if you like to see our faces.
Do you want to know that? Only if it's a positive comment.
Huh?
If you think I'm ugly, I don't need to know
Yeah.
that.
Only if I did my makeup for
Yes,
this.
I know my eyes are not the same size. You don't need to point that out.
See, look, I actually did a face.
Also, show ideas. If you have show ideas for us, which can be whether it's guests or things you want us to discuss ourselves, we're up for new ideas.
We would love it. We can research whatever you'd like us to about Utah. We have the resources to do it. So let us
In fact,
know.
I'm going to throw this out there. I've been looking for a guest to talk about Utah urban myths. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a whole lot of them. Like, what's that grave in Salt Lake? Like the emo's
Urban
grave or
legend.
whatever his name is. That if you go there at a certain time, there's like a light that shines, and there's all sorts of urban myths, like that the Ochre Mountains used to be covered in pine trees. And if there's any historian people that could talk to that, that's a particular topic that I don't know who a good guest would be. That's something I would be interested in. Let us know.
We're going to throw that out in the Twitter sphere and on our Facebook. And yeah, let's find out. Let's get somebody. You know, people, we want to know about it.
Yep. Well, with that said, I think ultimately Utah's a pretty great state.
State. Yeah, let's get rid of that logo. That's
That's
something
been
else
gone
I
for a
don't
long time.
like. I know, but our logos are
Be
all stupid.
Utahful.
Why can't we just be
Be Utahful should be our slogan.
beautiful?
That's a cool slogan.
It is. I agree.
All right.
All right,
Take care, everyone.
Jakers.